Python Software Foundation has a number of missions. We manage the intellectual property of Python. We have a trademark. We hold a copyright on the code that makes up the Python language itself. We fund some various projects, selected software development things, something that's like say porting to Python 3, some essential standard library module or some widely used third-party module. We also do stuff, and this is going to tie into more of what I'm going to say a few words about, like try to fund outreach efforts. We want to reach out to getting more people to learn Python. And especially we want people who are in the developing world, women who have been traditionally disadvantaged relative to learning, other discriminated against groups. We want to evangelize for Python. And since I have some details in years, I forget where it is, but I'll get to it in a sec. But the foundation's been around for a fairly long time. And I'm one of the directors of it, and I am on a couple committees that were on the previous slides. But our model for the foundation for a number of years has always been that we have a small number of members, up to a couple hundred. And each of those members were nominated by existing members and then voted by the existing membership, and then were generally elected. And so we had grown by 10, 20 members a year, and it sort of slow growth, and it was a select group of people who were highly involved in the Python community, largely core developers. And then that's actually fine. There's nothing wrong with that model. It certainly was never meant, and it never, I think, had the effect of discouraging wider adoption of Python, or use in creating an ecosystem around Python tools. But we nonetheless decided, a little more than a year ago, but then it was voted by the existing membership and so on, to change our bylaws and to try to push for a different kind of model for the foundation. And what we really want now is we really want to have a very open model so that everybody can be a member of the foundation. And I don't know if you've all signed up and won your t-shirts yet, but part of what we've changed in these bylaws is rather than just sort of generic membership, we have a number of different levels and types of membership. Oh yeah, here's the history one. But the starting point for everybody is the basic membership. And basic membership, which is probably the next slide. Here's stuff I said about what we do. So anybody can be a basic member. You really don't get anything. And you never got anything for being a elected member under the more restricted model. Essentially, the thing I like to say to people is you have no privileges and no rights if you're a PSF member. What you get is you get a new set of obligations. And so that's why I want you to join, because I want all of you and all the people who are in the Python community widely to start being, of course, you've already been participants in the Python ecosystem, in Python development and Python programming. But our hope is that by having this more inclusive membership model where we're going to have not hundreds, but tens of thousands of members of the foundation, worldwide, that it acts as a kind of clearinghouse. It acts as a way of bringing together people from different communities within the Python world, across national boundaries, across companies, across organizations, across different software projects that use Python. And we hope to be able to facilitate a lot of things. For example, during this conference, there was several mentions of things like producing, like there was a wonderful couple talks about IPython notebooks, and in particular using those to create learning materials for students that would be based around IPython notebooks. And these sort of materials are the sort of things that maybe they're used here in South Africa, maybe they're used at some particular school or some particular outreach project, but maybe they're useful in Thailand to use the same materials. Maybe they're, useful in Ireland. Maybe they're useful in Australia. Maybe they're useful in South America. There might be linguistic differences across places and a variety of things, but the hope is that by expanding the membership, we get people to start feeling more that they belong to the foundation, more that they belong to the community, and encouraging all of you and tens of thousands of other people to really participate in Python as a worldwide collaborative project and something that we can all share and advance common goals. So I have a bunch more slides, and they're sort of administrative details, and let me just go through them fairly quickly. But this is the main thing this is what you want to do. Go there, do this. So as I say, basic members are the starting point. You can join the Python members mailing list. You can have access to some of the wikis that are restricted for discussion amongst members. But basically it's nothing other than a few communication channels. Plus, we'll send you an email or something that confirms your membership, and you can tell all your friends and family, and they'll be impressed that you're a member of the foundation. Then there's some other levels. Then you can do more for the foundation, and you can do more for the Python community. You can give us some money, and we'll use the money for wonderful and useful things like education efforts, outreach effort, development efforts, funding conferences like this conference. Not in whole, but we contributed a bit to it. And if you pay some money, then you get to cast votes on promoting members to higher levels, and if we change the bylaws again, and you want to decide whether I'm on the board of directors next year, and you get to vote for a few things, but not that many things. And there's a few other levels that are built into the bylaws, and you can find on the website, which is not listed on the screen, but anyway, you can find at the Python website all the details of the bylaws that we adopted, which are legalistic and dozens of pages long, and there's lots of details. But in particular, past this basic membership, there's two kinds of members that people can be without paying money and without belonging to companies that are sponsors. Oh, well, actually, here's the sponsors one. If you're a company or your company wants to become a sponsor member, you get to pay us much more money, and there's some different levels, and you get to send a delegate to vote. And some wonderful large organizations have done so, and small ones. But as individuals, there's a couple other things you can do if you want to become more involved, and ultimately we encourage you to be more involved. You can become a managing member by just contributing to the Python ecosystem. You manage some library that is used by other people. You teach courses on Python to people, but you do something that is a consistent and ongoing effort to help Python, and then you get voted up to a higher level if you want to, and things like that. And it's a subtle distinction, but you can actually be a contributing member, which is essentially the same thing, but your contributions are specifically to the foundation itself and the missions that we've explicitly set, as opposed to the wider ecosystem. These, do I say, I had the number before, but the fellows are the folks like me and probably Simon and maybe one or two other people in the room, I'm sorry, I don't know who, that were under the old system, and we got promoted to our lifetime thing that we get to vote forever, but there's 218 of us or something. Some members vote. That's not that interesting. Oh yeah, here's the number of fellows, and we have 2,040 basic members now, and after this conference we're going to have another 130, right? Well, so join is the basic thing, but then the way we want to organize things is around work groups that do specific things. Maybe we're going to have a education work group. We're going to have a work group around some particular software project. We're going to have a work group around some particularly country that has local user groups. We're going to have a work group around managing the Python website, which we sort of do. We're going to have a work group around the trademarks committee, which I'm chair of, that sends letters to people saying that they have to change their logo a little bit because it dilutes our logo. Or the outreach and education committee, which funds things like I said at the beginning, typically sort of educational efforts for people who may have been disadvantaged in some way. But what a work group is something that we want you new basic members to decide what the need is, what is important to advancing Python, and propose a work group, propose a charter, let us approve that thing exists, and do the work that you think is relevant, and get more people to help you from amongst these soon to be tens of thousands of basic members or other kind of members that we'll have. And okay, there's what I just said about work groups. Oh yeah, if you found one and there's a good reason to, we can give you some money. We don't have a lot of money, but the foundation has some, and we spend it on some good things. And what else? Join, I said. Talk to the people you know. Tell them to join. Tell them, but more than just joining. I mean, you go fill out a web form and your name's on a list and you get to subscribe to a mailing list. But, do things to evangelize, to talk to people you know about the virtues of Python. I mean, many of you have given talks at this, but you give talks other places. Just talk to people you know. Organize user groups. Organize conferences. I guess there's our URL again. You can send email to us. That gets to the board of directors if you send it to that, and we do something with it. We'll reply to everything. And do I have a final one? Thank you to the organizers and the sponsors that were here, and mostly thank you to all of you in the audience. And that's enough.
The talks being videoed, you've seen photographs being taken, you've seen speakers. We're going to have the videos, photos, and slides up online as soon as we get a moment. So speakers, I'll be sending you an email asking you to kindly send me links to your slides or send me PDFs. Please don't send me keynotes. I can't open those. For everyone here, every year at PyConZA Africa, we send out an exit survey shortly after the conference. And yeah, the exit survey is very valuable. It tells us as organizers whether we succeeded, what went wrong. Often stuff goes wrong, but we don't really notice because people don't say anything or because we're looking elsewhere at the time. So yeah, fill in the exit survey and let us know what you thought. I just wanted to say thank you again to all of our sponsors, particularly Breakout, who've been our turnkey sponsor for every year that we've existed. Thank you to Google, who this year were a platinum sponsor. This is the most sponsorship we've gotten from them. To Amazon and Oracle. I was going to say something about the Python Software Foundation. I've never had the Python Software Foundation refuse to give me money. And actually, I think how we got started on sort of the road to PyCon South Africa probably goes back to the Cape Town Python user group. We did a sprint on porting Genshi to Python 3, and I think I read somewhere on a mailing list that the Python Software Foundation was funding porting things to Python 3. So I thought, hey, what the hey, we'll put in an application. I can't remember exactly how much they gave us. Was it $100 or $200? They obviously thought it was fairly small, but once you translate it into rand, you can buy a lot of pizza for 2,200 rand. So thank you. You'll also notice on the slide there are two companies who didn't sponsor us financially, but who sponsored us in other ways. So Unomina, Ewan, or any of the Unomina people, are you here? I can't see. Well, Unomina have, since PyCon's inception, done a lot of the website design for us. So all of the shiny logos that are on the t-shirts on the website, they were done by people at Unomina. and a lot of the original CSS work for the site, and we've heard lots of people saying how much they dislike CSS, and I'm going to add to that. I'm also not a big fan of writing CSS, so I'm very grateful to Unomina for doing that for us. Also, at the bottom is Teen Geek. Andre, where are you? Cool. Do you want to stand up quickly? So last year at PyCon South Africa, we had just happened to start working with Andre on some other projects, and he came to PyCon South Africa. And afterwards, I'm not sure if he realized what he was getting himself into, but he said yes to agreeing to host it up here. And yeah, you've probably hardly seen him during the last 2 days because he's been running around like crazy behind the scenes, making sure that everything is running smoothly. Not sure you know, we had a bit of a scary moment on Friday. Andre opened up all of the merchandise that we received, and the name badges weren't there. And as you can guess, the name badges are probably the most critical thing. So he phoned the supplier and they said, don't worry, we'll deliver them at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. And he said, no, this is not going to work. So he called, so he said, please send them today. So this was like 5 o'clock on Wednesday or something. So they somehow found a driver. They sent the driver down. And the driver was having trouble finding the venue, which a few people did. And Andre went out to eventually look for the driver and found him kind of parked outside, sort of on the road. And the driver said, great, I've got the name badges for you. They're here in the boot. Pops open the boot. Boot is empty. So Andre and the driver then proceeded to spend, I think, half an hour or so backtracking the driver's steps, frantically looking for the name badges. And it turned out that the driver had parked down in the parking garage, taken the name badges out of the boot, not being able to find the way up to the venue, closed the boot again, left the name badges just lying on the floor in the parking lot, and then driven up. So this is just one of the many exciting things that happen behind the scenes. So thank you again to Andre and to Team Geek for letting us have a giant part of Andre's time. Okay, cool. Thank you is already the most fun part of the conference for me. And I have a whole list of them. Hopefully I'm not going to forget any of them. So, first of all, William, also from Yola, are you here? Hey, so William really helped us clean up Waffer's Django templates. They were in a terrible state. Last year we had to do all kinds of horrible hacks to get them to work. So William, thank you very much for diving in and helping us fix that. And will you come up and grab a t-shirt? Cool. Do you want large or medium? Cool. Thank you. Oh, next up, if you're someone who follows Twitter, I'm sure you've seen that there have been lots of tweets about the talks. Jonathan Carter and Adriana Pinska. You just stand up. Where is Adriana? Out there. Adriana already has a t-shirt because she was an official speaker. But if you want to come down, Adriana, I've got an additional blank badge for you. Did you want a medium? Large. Cool. I think I actually packed yours. Yes. So there's a reason I'm giving Adriana this badge. She actually did the graphic design on the badge. Yeah, Adriana didn't make the individual components, but she laid them out on the template and decided on what she came up with the layout. Yes. Yes. Thank you. In addition to Andre and I, there were a whole bunch of other people who aren't developers, who don't even get as much back from organizing a conference like this as we do. So, yeah, I already want to say thank you to them. So, firstly to Verena, who works at Breakout. None of you have probably met her, but she did so many things behind the scenes, talking to sponsors, booking the speaker's dinner, finding restaurants, visiting the venue, yeah, all of those things. So thank you, Verena. Tamsin, are you here? I don't think so, no. So Tamsin manned the registration desk on Thursday morning and generally helped direct people in the right direction, and ran around behind the scenes helping us. And then a very special thank you to Lauren, who, if you were at either of the Python South Africa, the previous two ones, Lauren was there running around like crazy, doing almost everything. She has a small daughter now, Zoe, and so unfortunately she couldn't take time away from family to be up here this year, but she was doing just as much work behind the scenes back in Cape Town in the run-up to the conference. So thank you, Lauren. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that I should be saying. Cool, I think that's it. So just lastly, I want to remind everyone that a bunch of us are going through to Chow Baby. I'm not sure how you pronounce this. Cucina at Monte Cassino. Yes, Monte Cassino is close by. You've probably been there before if you've been coming to the conference. We've had a number of events there. If you haven't, asked directions. And otherwise, hopefully see you all at PyConZA 2015. Thank you.